It's 4:47 in the morning. I have an 8-mile run today and a lot on my mind, so let's get to work. Now, it's been about 75 days since I exited Johnson & Johnson in order to complete our 13th move as a family to stay in Japan, and I want to talk about what I've been up to since then. So let me put you on my head and we'll get to work. Pretentious Engineer here. I know you didn't ask, but welcome to your weekly one-on-one, where I answer some of the internet's most challenging questions. Now, I've made it my personal goal to help entrepreneurs, engineers, and global leaders make their way, and I'm a busy guy, so I do my podcast on the run. So, looking forward to chatting with you today, and let's keep it going. Hey friends, we're 1 mile in. Now we still haven't caught a sunrise yet. Whew, so that's good. But 75 days since my exit for Johnson & Johnson. And on paper, I still don't have a job. So what the heck have I been doing? Well, let's get into it. And first of all, I think I gotta give you a tour. Water. Before we jump in. So looking forward, we are currently running in Tokyo. Tokyo goes that way. Tokyo is a prefecture, which if you come from a US based context, that actually makes it more of a state. And then there are 23 wards in Tokyo, which are like cities. There's a river you can't see just behind these bushes. You'll see it in a bit as we continue on the run. And it separates Tokyo Prefecture from Kanagawa, and that city is Kawasaki. Now, up ahead, you'll see it in a bit. Way down there, there's a blue bridge. That's our target. We gotta run to the bridge, which getting to the bridge will put us at like 0.25 miles, which is just about 4 kilometers. We run over it, run past the city along the river, hit 4 miles, that's our halfway point, and then we loop it all back. So that's a little bit about where we're going today. Whew. Last week we tried to do 10 miles and talk about fatherhood, and we're having a lot of hamstring issues and hip instabilities, which really hurt. Sorry, I'm avoiding puddles of doom. I hate wet socks. So this week, feeling pretty sprite. We'll see what's up with that. But 75 days, what have I been up to? Well, a large portion of my time has been in funnel design, which is kind of unexpected coming from a robotics control, systems engineering, and global leadership perspective. But I've also been a content creator for the last 4 years. I've built a inclusive community of around 40,000 folks across TikTok and YouTube, and had around 20 million views on all that content. And I've never actually built a funnel. For those of you who don't know what a funnel is, besides a great way to change your transmission fluid on a car, a lot of times you need a really long funnel to get down there. Oh, it's wet. Wet leaves. A funnel basically is like someone sees your video, whether it's a short form piece of content, long form piece of content, and then they can click a link in the bio, and maybe that takes them somewhere, whether it's a personal landing page so they can follow your other socials or to a shop to buy merch or things like that. Well, what I'm doing is I'm actually working on a funnel that migrates people to a platform called Skool. So I'm building a paid community that helps engineers, global leaders, and entrepreneurs find their way. I'm trying to bottle up everything I've learned over the last decade in Johnson & Johnson MedTech, advancing robotic surgery, AR and VR, and leading global teams, and package it so that people can cut years off of their personal development and secure their next best opportunity. So I've been doing a lot to learn how to write copy, and writing copy is just a fancy way of saying using words to help people understand a product they've never seen before, and for them to come into understanding that that product can radically transform their lives, and that the value they'll receive from that product is far in excess of what they'll pay for it. And then if you do that in a compelling manner and you funnel people to it, you could build a business. And that's what I'm working on. So let me pop you on my head and we'll go more into the details. Let's see how this next mile goes.
Time 27 minutes and 1 second. Sprint pace 12 minutes 36 seconds per mile.
Mile 2. Congratulations, you're still moving forward from A to B. Well, I mean, technically you may just be sitting on your couch or I don't know, at the office working, but you're still technically moving forward because the world is spinning, right? So your relative velocity may feel like 0, but you're careening through the universe at unprecedented speeds. So anyway, mile 2, what do I got on my mind? Well, one of the things I've learned getting this community off the ground, getting the funnel built, because I just launched the funnel today, is the value in making people wait, in being patient, and building things right. A lot of entrepreneurial mindset is all about speed and break things. And while there's a time for that, sometimes it's willing to innovate with diligence and patience and build anticipation, knowing that when you launch, it's really gonna wow. Sometimes that mindset is also very helpful. And I've been bringing along a community of like 100+ people from my exit from Johnson & Johnson, new friends I've made in the Tokyo entrepreneurial scenes. And today's the day where I finally share the funnel. When I make the link live, it'll be live on this video as well. And then I see, do people actually engage? Does the messaging I've created resonate with people? There's always opportunities for tweaks, but I get to see if the master plan actually provides value. So it should be a fun day. I'm gonna pop you on my head because I'm coming up on a new friend, and I'll see you on the other side of the bridge. Hi friends, mile 3. So what did we talk about earlier? I'm already in the running haze. Patience. Did we talk about patience? The importance of making people wait. Well, making people wait creates what's called supply and demand tension. It gives you more pricing control. So if you think about yourself being like a consultant, if you immediately provide services and give out free 30-minute calls to anyone who asks, and you don't do any filtering, the problem is you're actually diminishing up front the value of your time. When you instead say, hey, thanks for reaching out, I get a lot of requests like this and I want to make sure that I can serve my clients at the highest quality possible. Would you mind joining the wait list? It asks a couple key questions so I can better understand the best way to come alongside you in the journey. When all of a sudden you've established credibility, you've established that, man, this consultant takes his clients farther because he's selective, or she. They're selective in the way they engage certain opportunities. They don't overload themselves, right? So that's one of the values of making people wait. A lot of my methodology for that comes from Daniel Priestley in his book Key Person of Influence. It's fantastic. 10 out of 10. Recommend. It's how I've been building my business. And then he's done quite a few episodes with Chris Do. Chris Do has a similar methodology for folks in the graphic design space. And I learned how to sell from both of them based on necessity of building a business. But building off this idea of patience and making people wait. Another thing I've learned over the last 75 days of trying to get my ventures off the ground to feed my 4 kids in Tokyo. Everything feels important, everything's critical, but you have limited bandwidth and you have to choose between multiple options that seem important. So one thing that's been really helpful for me in my decision making, it's not about having a perfect plan. There is no perfect plan. I think accepting imperfections is really important. But laying out a roadmap on where you think you're going and identifying on that roadmap what is the critical path, what is the key thing where if you put 80% of your effort into it, you're going to get 80% back. Now that's not it. The 80-20 rule. Was it 20% of your effort into something yields 80% of the outputs you desire? So for me, it was doing everything within my power to advance getting the wait list out at the highest level of quality possible. And that map, I drew it on a whiteboard that's actually in front of my stove. So every day when I cook, I can see the master plan and the different areas of focus and emphasis, different products I'll offer down the road, such as storytelling, consulting, upgrading people's podcasting studios, video editing. But the biggest one is launching the Skool community. And honestly, if that's a large enough venture, fully focusing on that, providing maximum value. Well, the only way I could get that out is focus, right? So every day you look at this map and it looms over you of all the things you have to do. And then the other thing is diligent, incremental improvement. You know the big picture, you know the critical path, and then diligently improve that space incrementally, little tiny steps, making the best intro class video I possibly could, doing the best free one-on-one video for people to kind of understand the essence of who I am, writing the best copy, reviewing it with friends, tweaking the visuals and the words to tell a cohesive story to anyone from my ideal customer avatar, which would be an engineer, a global leader, or an entrepreneur. But everything is diligent, incremental improvement, because when you take the jump like I have and you have so much anxiety and fear, paralysis can set in, and you can't break it into a small enough task, and you can't have this improvement mindset because you just feel crushed. You're in the valley of despair, right? And in the valley of despair, we just got to make ourselves take small strategic steps and then see where they can build. I've been taking strong strategic steps for the 75 days since my exit from JNJ to launch this community that I'm so freaking passionate and excited about. But then in the 3 months leading up to my exit, where things weren't looking favorable for our family, those 90 days, taking small strategic steps, and heck, over the last decade at J&J, and the opportunities I found, the work I've done, the way I've grown, all of that is diligent, incremental improvement every day for years. So it's hard because you're stuck between the now and the future, and that in between is messy. But that's your encouragement for now. Let's see if I can get out to 4 miles. All right, we're at 4 miles in, feeling good. I thought about stretching it to the 4.5 mile turnaround just because I'm pretty sprite. It's actually been a while since I've finished a running the whole time. So I was like, let's just do a clean 8. 1 second, I'm coming up on some friends. So for mile 4, your encouragement, wherever you are, in whatever job, transition, lack thereof, I want to talk about fear. Fear is very wild. Just like my hair, I realized I got a Wolverine split. It's pretty sweet. Oh man, I still gotta go see Deadpool and Wolverine. That's a date night. So fear is both a motivator and an immobilizer. And a lot of times when we experience the presence of fear, anxiety, it will either drive us towards action. Sometimes that action is ideal and self-preserves, and sometimes it immobilizes us. We shut down, deer in headlights, we get run over. I will say, over the last 6 months of seeing my job evaporate in Japan, applying to 20 roles, going through 5 interviews, doing a contingent resignation on landing that job not working out, exiting, building a business, trying to secure a visa and land clients before our cash flow red lines, more fear than I've ever experienced in my life. And one of the things I'd encourage you with is to not guilt yourself for being afraid in whatever context you're in. It is a natural response, and over time we can train a different response to fear that pushes us towards beneficial strategic action, because a lot of times the behaviors that fear leads us to don't serve us. Give me 1 second, I gotta pass our lovely new friend before I keep chatting. So enjoy the sky view, the under chin. there's some Wim Hof breathing for you. But I think the first step is, again, not experiencing guilt or condemnation or like self-loathing when you have these feelings. Like, I was having a great chat with my wife, and she was just saying, like, maybe we're really stupid. Maybe we've made some really bad decisions. Like 99% of people would not have chosen the things we've chosen, and maybe all we deserve out of that choice is poverty, going bankrupt in Japan, losing all our possessions, moving back to the US, working a normal job, and digging out over 10 years. Very real thoughts. But as we talked through it, she put her hands to work on Canva. She made an awesome 37 gems for a video editing document. Like, I had crafted these 37 insights I use, or methodologies I use for pre-production planning, recording, editing, and engagement of the community. She wrapped it in Canva, made it look like an awesome free digital download. And then if anyone signs up for our Sunday Sips newsletter, they get the free PDF. And it builds a relationship. So part of it, just recognizing if you're doing big, crazy things, stress and anxiety and fear will follow. And it's not fun until it's done, until you land on the other side and you see that you've won and you've done something you never dreamed was possible, but you pushed through it. So I think navigating those feelings of guilt and condemnation and flipping them to affirmation of, like, look at the choices we've made. Like, I don't see us ever regretting these choices in the event things turn out successful. We only have one life, and we've chosen to build one we can live by, right? So if you have guilt or insecurity, yeah, push past that. How gozaimasu. How gozaimasu. Like, you're enough. Wherever you are, you're enough. And then figure out how to take a breath, recognize what's motivating that fear, what risks are present, come up with a plan, write it on your whiteboard in front of your stove, and diligently take action. And if you're consistent with that, you'll win. All right, let's finish running this. We're in the middle of the 5th mile, so let's finish it up. All right, friends, now 5. I can't even do 5 with my fingers. We talked a lot about fear, anxiety. Next thing that I think...
Total distance 5 miles. Total time 1 hour 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Split pace 12 minutes 57 seconds per
minute. Yeah, it's pretty clean. Nice and mellow. I'm a mellow fellow. Right. Whew. Run it, conversation, and pace. That's my jam. And we're coming up on a friend on a bike, so I'll probably shut up at one point. It looks like he's walking a wolf, not a dog. 1 second. One more guy. And then we'll chat. Alright, so the next thing that can lead us is the wrong word. The next thing that can immobilize us, paralyze us, besides fear and anxiety, although I think this item, I gotta breathe. We got a hill. Where did this hill come from? Oh my God. It caught me. Oh my gosh. There we go. Let me get up this hill. The next thing that can immobilize us is perfection, or the flip is fear of imperfection. It's the reason so many of us can say, yeah, I'm working on a book. Where's the book? Or, oh yeah, it'll be in my TED Talk someday. Cool. Have you applied to give one? Have you crafted one? Rehearsed it? Put in the time? Recorded yourself and watched the recording? And critiqued if your story even makes sense? Right. A lot of times we desire this perfect, polished outcome, but we're not willing to refine and put in the work, wrestle with the imperfections. My sister, when we were growing up, she had a rock tumbler. Basically came with like this bag of crappy rocks. They're all crusty, dirty, lumpy, and you put them in this barrel and you turn it on and you just roll the barrel for hours on end, and you put some grit in there. And first you start with coarse grit and you run it long enough, and eventually it would break all the edges off, and you might see a glimmer of something shiny, something of progress. And then you take all the rocks out and you wash them out in the sink, clog your pipes up with grit. Ideally you do it outside in the grass, but we were stupid. Then put it back in the barrel, add a slightly finer grit, roll that sucker for days and weeks. Our garage was always making this rock clanging noise. I'm sure the neighbors loved it. I'm sure my mom loved it. And then wash them out, put in a finer grit, do the whole thing again. Eventually, at the end of this process, like over the course of weeks, it really feels like months, I don't remember how long it takes, you'd land on some really shiny, beautiful, perfect looking gems. But you gotta remember the time and the process and the dirt and the grit that it takes to get there. Unfortunately, in our culture, we crave and celebrate comfort and ease, and it blocks us from being able to being open with imperfections. My wife did a thumbnail for one of our clients, the Pancake Princess. She had to go through 27 revisions, including 2 reviews with the actual YouTuber, multiple tweaks. And every tweak, you have to navigate your own insecurity that you're not good enough, which isn't true. Innovation, the creative spaces, it's all incremental progress and refinement. You don't land at the first shot. Like the language for the Skool copy that I wrote, if you do the waitlist, reviewed that with my wife, various colleagues. A lot of the visuals came from candid feedback of like, hey, what you wrote here in words, I understand. What you showed here in pictures doesn't tell the same story. And if it doesn't tell the same story, it detracts from the message and it diminishes the perception of value. So go back and put another week of work into it. That's what he was basically saying. So if you're struggling with perfection or fear of imperfection, start with realistic expectations. Tell yourself, if I'm doing something hard, it's gonna take 5 times as long as I think it should. And there's nothing wrong with me. It's just the process. And if I go through the process, I'll get the shiny stone at the end of the journey. All right, I'm gonna pass OGs on, and then I'll pop you on my head. Also, I'm not mad at you. I'm 5 miles in, actually about 5.5 now, and I'm just winded and exhausted. So that's what's going on here. I'm also gonna change my battery, so let me do that and I'll pop you back on my head.
Total time 1 hour 18 minutes 55 seconds. Pace 13 minutes 36 seconds per mile.
All right, friends. Wolverine here again with the hair. I need to get one of those cowl things. The old school one, you know what I'm talking about. Yellow outfit. All right, what's the motivation? We're at mile 6. I want to let you know, I had a momentary temptation. I was approaching mile 6, and I was like, we found it. We found it. We found dead legs. Dead legs is a phenomenon when it's taken every bit of mental and emotional resolve you have left to move your meat stumps one step in front of the other. So it feels like you're running on these big heavy logs. Thighs like tree trunks. All right, anyway, what I was thinking about that was like, oh, accountability. All right, well, let me pull this thing off my head and start talking while I'm jogging, as opposed to start walking, pull it off my head, take a couple breaths, walk and talk and give you inspiration, which is what I'm gonna do right now. The reality is, friends, actually this isn't planned, I just decided this is really what I want to do. It's hard. The journey's hard. You gotta take breaks. You gotta modulate your pace. We are humans. We are not machines. No matter how many biometric implants and wheels, no matter Neuralink and all these other things, at the end of the day, we're still humans. We need rest. We need recovery. And the demands of life have peaks and valleys, right? Hills and valleys. And you can't go 120% every moment of every day forever. Sure, there's certain individuals, Goggins, I'll give Goggins credit. I'm not Goggins. If he was here with me though, and he was yelling at me, maybe I'd keep going. But I think sometimes we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace in the journey. Sometimes we need a little bit of conviction, a little kick in the butt to get started. But then once we're on the path to something, whether it's your health and fitness goals, progressing in your career, being a present father or mother, once we're in motion, recognizing the right time horizon of progress is really important, because a lot of times we expect results far faster than is possible. And then when we don't achieve that quickly, and it's really difficult to keep going, then we stop and we get in all these start and then feel like not dissuaded, that's not the right word, losing my words here, discouraged, and then we give up and we stop, and then pain from the choice not to keep progressing towards the good things in our life motivates us to think about starting. We delay that for a bit because it's hard to start things. We finally hit one of those enough is enough kind of days, And then we start, and then it gets tricky and we don't get results as quickly as we expect. And then we get discouraged, and then we stop, and we loop, and we never progress. And I think if you can have a larger time horizon of what progress looks like, and you can count the days from zero, whether you're in a hill or a valley, whether you took a small pause or not, if you can credit yourself on the steps you do take towards progress, eventually those discouraged stopping moments get smaller and farther in between, and the progress you start to experience actually happens. Now I'm going to do 3 deadlifts because my hips feel wonky, so nice. It's always good when we get a shift. My biomechanics aren't perfect. I'm a heavier guy, 6'3", 300 pounds. So I haven't weighed in quite a few months, so maybe I'm less, maybe I'm more. I might have beefed up because I lift a lot. But breathe. By the way, the camera looks really nice filming the shadow side. It's fun. I got some nice lighting on one of my cheeks. But if you can find a way to lower the bar, which sounds counterintuitive mid-journey, a lot of times you can give yourself a low enough hoop to jump through. And you can train, find the motivation, hop through that hoop, and then you build momentum to jump over the larger hoops. You know, for instance, my goal is to eventually be able to do pull-ups. I'm a big guy. That's a pretty crazy goal. That would require weight loss, require building strength. I had a lot of back injuries. My L4 and L5 are completely compressed, pushing on my spinal cord. I used to wake up every 2 hours with pain. I was immobilized, could barely roll out of bed, could only run about half a mile, have to stop at a bench, wrestle and fight with God in my prayers, and then run back in pain. I was getting epidural injections every 2 weeks. Like, my come from a life of pain, it's pretty severe. Yeah, when I make this goal of like I want to do a pull-up, I want to be able to achieve that goal quickly with no work. You want to get the goal with the greatest amount of ease. Good luck with that. Right? So for me though, the way I could lower the bar is, well, how long can I hold on to the bar? Because my hand strength is one of my weakest links right now. You know how you strengthen your hands? Hop up on a bar more often and hang. It's literally all it is. Just hop up there, start doing something, lower the bar, make it accessible for you to start making incremental, diligent improvement. All right, is that enough soapbox? You know, and then over time you'll be running half marathons like me, doing pull-ups, not like me yet, starting your own business in Japan, feeding your family of 4 kids and putting them through international school on your own sweat and ingenuity, because you work through all the paralysis of fear, anxiety, perfectionism, and you just lowered your bar and got it done. All right, we have 1.5 more miles, friends. I'm going to try to put you on my head and go jog again, see if we could wrap this up. But I took a breather. I'm also going to stop off for water, possibly a bathroom break, but we're going to get it done. It's only 6:16 in the morning, so we got our whole day ahead of us to kick butt. But it is a holiday in Japan, so somehow I have to raise kids and progress some video editing and consulting for an awesome startup called Kamba. You should check out that series on YouTube as well. All right, let me put you on my head. Here we go. All right, mile 7. All right, mile 7. Oh, we're well on our way. I've disappointed my wife, so I'm trying to get home quicker. We had mismatched expectations on when I'd be done. Children are awake. And that's sad. So I gotta go a little quicker versus slower. We'll see. But what I wanted to share with you next is this idea of a frog in a pot. This is actually the first free class module I give out in my wait list for the Skool community. So if you go and fill out the wait list, you can actually watch the whole class. I think it's like, I don't know, 15 or 18 minutes. But it's this idea that if you put a frog in a pot and you turn on the heat, and I don't know if this is true scientifically, but if you turn on the heat, the water will start to boil. Eventually it cooks the frog, because frogs are reptiles, or amphibians. I think those are the same thing. I'm an engineer, not a biologist. This idea that the frog doesn't recognize that it should jump, that its circumstances are changing in a non-favorable way, and it stays and gets cooked. And the class goes through all the different factors in my career over the last decade that turned the temperature up in the pot. Yet, for various reasons, I stayed. And I think in many ways, that was honorable, the choices I made, based on what was communicated to me, and the outcomes that I thought were legitimately possible. I'm gonna walk these stairs, oh my God. Oh, oh man, 7.2 miles. Slowly dying here. We got water coming up ahead. So glad we didn't turn it up for 9 miles. Oh, let's get going. Let's get going. Breathe. But the module goes through all these different factors that I became increasingly aware of, because mainly pain and frustration. Yet I continued to stay in an environment that didn't serve me. And it's likely, and this is why I definitely gave this class out for free, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine the millions of people that have felt like I've felt. And my situation is incredibly severe, extreme, and what I would call in engineering a corner case. A corner case is like an outlier. It's something that you really don't expect to ever happen. It's like, sometimes in systems engineering we would call it like a double failure. Like one thing fails, then another thing fails, then another thing fails, and then all of a sudden it's a very, very, very bad outcome. And like, those are really hard to predict from a risk analysis perspective. So a lot of times we don't embed enough levels of redundancy in certain devices, So hopefully that lesson's an encouragement to you. Click the link, read about the community, answer a couple questions to baseline where you are in your journey. And at the end, I give out a quick one-on-one video that goes through my career, areas of focus, why I built Skool. And the second video is a free lesson about a frog in a pot. But I believe a lot of people, those millions of people I'm talking about, we have so many inertial forces in our life that keep us in toxic, dangerous, unhealthy circumstances way longer than we should. I think it's even exaggerated in a Japanese context, which is hard to imagine because it's already a hot mess in a US context or any other global context. So if you watch it and it resonates with you, I always say that wrong. I always want to say resignates. It resigns. But if it resonates with you, let me know, either in the comments on this video or on that video or in your application, because it helps me feel like I'm not alone. It helps me feel like I'm not a crazy person trying to create community to help engineers and global leaders navigate this kind of stuff. And over here I was just thinking about a potential offer I may be receiving from JNJ in the future to come back, because a lot of people exit and boomerang back in, and I have so many mixed feelings and conflictions. Like if I could come in at the right level, the right pay, would I do it? I love advancing medical device and medical innovation at a global scale, but also I want to be present with my kids and there's a lot to navigate in that space, but I was imagining like if I came in and started directing or being a VP, what my first conversations would be with my direct reports, because I wouldn't be coming in at an individual contributor level. And for me, I think it's like having this idea or establishing these boundaries of like, I really want to be in your life. I really want to understand the essence of who you are, both in work and outside of work. Figure out what drives you, figure out where I could remove barriers in your life. And the big thing is I don't want you on this team in a year and a half. Like within this year and a half, if I push you and you deliver, I want to help you secure your next best opportunity, whether it's a different role, like a promotion within my organization or within my team, or you moving laterally within JNJ or whatever company I work for and helping bridge them to another manager. Or it's external and like being like, hey, you got headhunted at this level and this pay, and that's great because you can always come back and you build a relationship. So that's kind of my mindset in those spaces. And it puts the work on me then to keep acquiring new talent. But people will want to work for me if they know they get better opportunities afterwards. I'm gonna grab some water and then we're gonna run again. All right, friends, Wolverine here. It's just about 8 miles. We're at like 7.9, which is really solid. So we'll walk out the last 10 miles, which for all you kilometer folks, it's about 12 kilometers. Not bad. It's a good hard long run. I only do long runs on Monday. So other learnings from the last 75 days, starting my own ventures, building a product, providing for my family. You're gonna hit multiple break points for yourself, for your partner, how you interact with your kids, how you interact with your friends, how you interact with your finances. If you're like me, your visa status. You're gonna be caught between what you want to do and what you want to build, and what you have the capacity and capability to build, whether it's time, intellect, finances. I'd say don't shy away from those moments. As painful and as hard as it is, lean into them on the journey, because they refine your character and you're going to be capable of so much more downstream because of your ability to stay in stress, stay in those moments of tension and difficulty and uncertainty. Like, they really will refine you as a husband, a father, an entrepreneur, an engineer. Again, the majority of my audience is men, but I mean, you could be a mamapreneur. Yeah, those two words, I know there's a mompreneur. All the mothers out there, all the single folks out there, stay in it, fight though. But you'll land in a wonderful, beautiful place.
8 miles. Total time 1 hour 49 minutes and 59 seconds. Split pace 16 minutes 17 seconds.
Hey, that's not bad. 16 minutes, 17 seconds. It's slower than my running pace, but it's not awful. So, hip hip hooray. Let's go be a dad. Keep changing the world. See you on the next one. And I don't know, there's a little button for you to click a thing. Go click another video and have fun. Or go get to work.